Hello, everybody. We're going to be doing something a little bit different today. We're going to be looking at a Duelsync replay. Now, Duelsync is a custom format that I've been creating over the past month or so with the mission statement to kind of emulate the anime feel as much as possible. So it has a ton of anime cards, a ton of manga cards. Pretty much every card is adjusted so that they can be kind of competitive. And every single card, with the exception of polymerization, is Highlander. I can go over more of what this format entails with this replay. But just to kind of just start off the duel, I'm going against me and my friend Lone. This is literally the first time we've ever dueled. We actually dueled one beforehand. We had to call it a little bit short. So I'm playing Elemental Heroes today. As you can see, Avion has an effect if you want to read that, but I'll just go over the play by plays when we do it. So I'm going to normal summon Mask Hero Dustro. All of the Mask Heroes in this format are treated as an elemental hero in the graveyard, and they have a trigger effect. Each one has a unique trigger effect, but they all do the same thing with one unique thing to each of them. So if Dustcrow is attacked, it can excavate the top two cards of the deck and set one mass spell trap from the hand or deck. It can set mass change from the graveyard, or its unique effect, it can mill a hero, a masked hero, from the deck. So I decide to myself, I'm going to just summon this card here because this gives me a little bit of advantage. If he wants to attack me, I can get my mill too. I don't want to commit any of my other monsters to the board. I have Avion here. Avion and Vercinatrix, they both have the same effect, where they can add the other counterpart, Polymerization, or Winged Karibo from the deck to the hand. Um, Hero responsibility. If I have a level 5 or lower hero, 5 or higher hero monster in my graveyard, I can destroy the attacking monster and draw a card. Fusion recovery, instead, right now I don't have a polymerization or a fusion monster to be able to benefit from it. And late hero, this is good for later on. If my monster destroys a monster by battle, I can special summon a monster with 1,000 or less attack. Um, and one thing to note about this, as you see, none of these cards have once per turn on them. This is because in Duelsync, every single card is once per turn, and every single card that would special summon itself from its own effect, let's say by Cyber Dragon or Backup Secretary, that's also once per turn too. So I pass turn, then Lone I set a card there because I told me and Lone were on the voice chat. I was like, actually, can I set this card? He's like, sure, whatever. So Lone summons Gate Vehicle. This is a 5D's manga card. Basically, when it's normal summoned, a Lone DC's there. Basically, when it's normal summoned, it can change itself to defense position, and it allows machine monsters to attack directly while in defense position, and also he gets to choose the attack targets. And uh, whenever on his standby phase, he gets to add a vehicle counter to boost his monsters. But that's not too relevant. He's just playing it because he's playing a light machine Cyber Dragon deck, as we'll see later. So he sets two cards and passes, and I draw Shadow Mist. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, I could actually set up a fusion play here. So I'm going to normal summon Avion and draw Polymerization. Now, astute players might be thinking, why didn't I just do this before and bring out a Scurry Dow turn one? Well, we'll see right now. I'm going to polymerization with two dark monsters and bring out Escuridao. So Escuridao and all of the Omni heroes in this format, they kind of behave like early heroes in the manga, where they need two dark monsters. So Escuridao needs two of its attributes, including an elemental hero monster. Also, Escuridao deals piercing in this. I'm not sure if we do the piercing this duel, but that's something to keep in mind. As you can see on this card right here, uh, 5+ hero monsters. So pretty much every single card in the extra deck in this format has what is called a quota. So to be able to play Elemental Hero Escuridao, I need 5 hero monsters in my deck, in my main deck. So you can't splash Escuridao in other decks unless you're playing 5+ hero monsters. The same can be said for, say, a card like uh, you want to play Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon, you have to play 5 Phantom Knight monsters or more. You want to play Clearwing, you have to play 5 Speedroids. You want to play Stardust Dragon, you have to play 5 Synchron or Resonator monsters. So this adds this really cool dynamic where decks are kind of tied to the monsters that represent them, and there's not a lot of generic things going on. But the cards are kind of hyper tuned to kind of play around to kind of play those cards. So it feels very thematic, and you're going to be rewarded for finding hidden synergies. As you can see, Lone only has 8 cards. He could be playing more. There's these things called generic monsters, where every single level and every rank has at least one extra deck monster you can go into. He forgets to add one to this duel, but there are options that you can be able to play with. So I bring out a Scuridao here, and I proceed to the battle phase, and I punch into him. Do not apply the piercing. I forget. We forget the piercing. As you can see, because cards are custom, right? So it's like you're gonna be there's moments in this duel especially where you kind of forget that cards get buffed unless it's like the first effect, right? So yeah, we should have dealt the piercing there, but that's okay. It doesn't have any altercation to the duel at all. Lone's gonna activate Loner Delivery. That's funny. If a machine monster is destroyed, you can hero signal out a machine monster, and also I'm going to activate as well. The turn player priority, I activate mine first, he activates his second, so his resolves first. He's going to bring out Cyber Larva, or Cyber Dragon Larva. So as you can see, this is a Cyber Dragon monster. All of the Cyber Dragon monsters are an archetype now. So Cyber Dragon Larva, really cool monster. You take no battle damage involving it, and because it's a Highlander format, you can't special summon new copies like you would in the TCG. So in this format, it can special summon itself from the graveyard when it's destroyed by battle. Again, this is a hard once per turn, so it's just going to be able to kind of emulate the double larva effect. And this is a very tricky card because if you let it go to the standby phase, it gets to level up into Cyber Dragon. So I kind of forget about that. It doesn't really matter anyways, but I attack with Avion, kind of for the memes, I guess. But first, I'm going to resolve Late Hero. So Late Hero lets me special summon any 1,000 or lower. So I bring out Rottweiler Friend Dog. The reason why it has dog at the end there is because there's actually a card that looks at dog, hound, and wolf monsters. It's a custom card that I made. So yeah, it has the dog at the end. We're a little liberal on like naming conventions. As you can see, like I can change things to be fit whatever I want if I think it's going to be more fun that way. So yeah, I'm going to attack with Avion, and he's just going to bring his Cyber Dragon back, sort of kind of demonstrating this. So yeah, so this card's going to be unresolved. There's not going to be much that I can do about this. He's going to get his Cyber Dragon by leveling up, and he's going to bring out the Cyber Dragon. The Cyber Dragon has basically the same exact effect that it does normally, and now it's his main phase. He's going to summon the manga card, Pandora. When it's normal summoned, you can add a level 7 plus machine monster from your deck to your hand. This is supposed to add the big Saturn, but Lone he loves to cook in deck building. He tries to find innate strategies and kind of break some hand, which makes me very happy. So he's gonna search out Cyber Dragon Assault, the rush duel card. So this card can be very threatening. If he gets this card on board, he's off to the races because he can tribute summon it by tributing any light machine monster, and during the main phase, he can target a Cyber Dragon monster in his graveyard, add it to his hand, and destroy a monster with 2,400 attack. Meaning that if I can't resolve this if I can't like beat the Cyber Dragon, he's gonna be able to tribute it and out my Scuridao by adding his Cyber Dragon back. He's gonna get so much advantage off of that situation. So he is going to attack my Avion. I'm going to be taking a sizable amount of damage here, 1,100 life points. But this is going to boost my Scuridao, and uh, we're going to go to the end phase. So this is kind of scary because it's why else would you? I mean, if he doesn't have anything else, I think he would still do the Cyber Dragon play just to be able to get a little bit of damage. And he chooses not to attack the friend dog here, which is correct because you don't want to give me advantage if you don't want to, because I play the hero deck. So if you're giving me opportunities to find Polly, it's going to be kind of scary for you. I do have the opportunity here to go into Gaia. Gaia needs 2 Earth monsters, including an Elemental hero, because I do find the Woodsman here. Woodsman has a new effect where if Forest is in the grave is on the field, it can't be destroyed by battle or attack positions while in attack position. But I don't want to lose my friend dog because friend dog is a pot of greed, ladies and gentlemen. You let this card get destroyed, and then you get to add an elemental hero monster and or that's new polymerization. So you can resolve it as much as possible and get advantages that way. So I just decided to go into the battle phase here and attack into the Cyber Dragon, and he is going to activate very cool prototype development. It's Circle of the Fire Kings for machine monsters. You contribute one machine monster in your graveyard and special summon another machine monster from your graveyard. Uh, Also, if it has the graveyard effect where you can banish two machine monsters and special summon the big Saturn from your hand or graveyard. So the cool thing about Highlander format is you get to play all these wacky cards. And I made it so that there's very few generic cards, right? You're not going to see, there's like Sakuretsu Armor is not in this format, like Raigeki Break. Think of like any kind of generic card. It's not going to be in this format unless it's heavily tweaked. This is so that we can play with these kind of specific cards and every kind of deck feels unique. So this is such a good play. He's going to bring out Larva here. And because I didn't switch Rottweiler into attack position because there's no reason to. He had two high stat monsters. Rottweiler could not deal with that. So because I did not do that, I can't resolve this. Uh, I can't get over this larva, and now Lone's in a very good position here because now he is going to be able to find his Cyber Assault Dragon, put it on the board, and not only get his Cyber Dragon back, but destroy my Asura down in the process. So he's going to tribute after Cyber Dragon just in case like my trap like has anything to kind of out him or whatever. And he's going to tribute for his Cyber Assault Dragon. He's going to activate the effect. He's going to add Cyber Dragon. I do things preemptively here because we're playing in voice chat. We're talking to each other. And now I think he decides to pass here. He attempts to normal summon, but I'm like, yo, dude, you normal summon, chill out. And he's like, okay. I mean, we have conversations in the middle of the duel. It's easy to forget things. So yeah, he's just gonna pass. He doesn't want to give me the poly here, because I can add either Shadow Mist back or Dust Crow back, and either of these monsters are very cool. Or I could add Avion back actually, because Rottweiler lets you target anything. So just by adding Polymerization and Avion back, I can find like Flame Wingman at the maximum. Flame Wingman in this format searches Skyscraper on summon. So if the opponent has a monster with 3,000 or more attack, actually, so I can't actually out Assault Dragon, but it is something to kind of keep in mind. He doesn't want to give me any sort of advantage here. However, I get a phenomenal draw here. I draw Elemental Hero Ocean, meaning I can add Polymerization and one of the fusion materials, in this case Shadow Mist, and I can fuse Ocean and Woodsman to bring out Terra Firma. So Terra Firma, he's going to activate his effect here because all of the legendary planet monsters in this format uh, on summon can excavate, or on their specific summon for Terra Firma, on his fusion summon, can excavate the top three cards of the deck and add one elemental hero monster or a spell trap that mentions it in its card text. So as we can see here, my only two targets are Hero Signal and Voltic. Mass Change does not mention Elemental Hero in its card text. So the obvious pick here is to grab the Hero Signal. It puts me in a very good position because you kind of want to out Terra Firma as fast as possible. In this format, it is a quick effect in the battle phase for its boosting effect. So once I get an elemental hero on the board, he becomes pretty much almost impossible to out by battle. And right now, it doesn't really matter because I have enough attack to be able to out this Cyber Dragon Assault here. So I'm in a very good position. I did not normal summon yet, and I can't tribute for the Shadow Mist here to get the boost in search because Shadow Mist has been nerfed. It has to be destroyed by battle. Otherwise, like cards like Dust Crow. Actually, no, Dust Crow only mills mass hero monsters. But I think this card is a lot more fun if it triggers only on battle. I didn't want like super crazy combos, right? I only want things to be consistent enough where like it feels fun to play the thematic deck and not consistent enough where you're like comboing off to a million. So Shadow Mist only resolves on battle, but it's still a pretty good effect. I'm in a very good position here because like if he outs any of my little guys, I can activate my hero signal once I set it and like plus a million. And this Terra Firma is applying a lot of pressure here. So I'm going to punch it for 18 and then I am going to set the hero signal on pass. It's lone set. He's going to special summon Cyber Dragon because he added it to his hand last turn. Um, and then he's going to activate old model to the front line. You get it's Monster Reborn for machine monsters. So he's going to do that. He's going to bring out the Cyber Dragon Assault mode back again. Very good here. He's going to add back his larva to his hand, which is such a threatening card. He can add back his Cyber Dragon if it's unresolved. He's going to destroy my Terra Firma here. And Now, because he did not normal summon, he's gonna summon Kodal. Kodal, when it's summoned, can or during the main phase, can excavate the top three cards of the deck and special summon one Cyber Dragon monster among them to the field. So Kodal is going to find three. He does not find the monster that he needs here, but the cards that he do reveal is Parasite Discharge, which lets you special summon a level 2 or lower insect monster from your hand or graveyard. You might be thinking, why the heck is he playing this? It's because of the second effect. It's E-Teleport well, it's Monster Born E-Teleport for Fusion Parasite. So Fusion Parasite is a very strong card in this format. It lets you, when it's special summon, lets you conduct a fusion summon, and it can be treated as any monster, kind of like the fusion material substitute cards like the Hex-Sealed Fusion or Goddess with the Third Eye. So there is a monster in this format that really likes to be, that uses a named monster and a machine monster as material. So this is a very scary card in his deck. If he finds this card, he can apply a lot of pressure. Grave Vehicleroid, when it's normal summoned, it can either send a banished level 4 or lower Vehicleroid from the graveyard or add it to the send it to the graveyard or add it to the hand. This is because the manga Vehicleroids kind of banish themselves a little bit with their unbinding effects, and then Cyber Roar, which it equips to a machine monster to gain attack, and if it is equipped to Cyber Dragon, it draws you a card after doing so. So none of those are Cyber Dragon monsters, so he's going to put those cards back into the deck, shuffle his deck, and then he's going to activate the graveyard effect to bring out his Big Saturn here. So like I said, the Big Saturn is a planet monster, so it's going to activate its effect to be able to excavate the top three cards of the deck and add either a machine monster or a spell trap that mentions machine type or the Big Saturn in its card text. So he's going to banish the three here. The cards that he finds is either the Griffin, which can target a level 5 machine monster and it can't be destroyed by traps this turn. And then if it's a light monster, you draw a card. Amazing advantage. Beastborg Fusioner, which behaves like the anime. You can conduct a fusion summon, including a beast warrior or machine monster as material. But if you fusion summon a Beastborg monster, new effect, you can excavate the top three cards of your deck and add a Beast Warrior, a machine monster, or a Beastborg spell trap among them to your hand. And it doesn't have the anime effect where it prevents you from normal summoning. And Signal Vehicle, which during each of your standby phases, your machine monsters gain attack, and then while they're in defense position, your opponent cannot defense position monsters with you control with 1,000 or less attack can attack directly, and the opponent must discard a card before attacking. So that card's are very powerful, especially in this situation where I don't have any cards in hand. But the obvious choice here is to grab Griffin. He has a target for it, so he can make it unaffected by machine monsters in following turns and also draw that card. So that's very scary. He's going to put his other two cards back and shuffle his deck. The Big Saturn is going to attack here, and now the Big Saturn has got a massive buff. Not only does it have the Excavate effect, because in this format, I really wanted main deck monsters to like feel powerful, right? Because they're main deck monsters, or you're not really supposed to be. You're not really playing them in like regular Yu-Gi-Oh! You're going to be playing like extra deck monsters. So these main deck monsters need to be very, very, very powerful. So if this card attacks a monster, you can activate this effect. It gains 1,000 attack during damage calculation only. The reason why it's worded like this in Duelsync, the damage calculation does not exist. The damage step does not exist unless it specifically mentions it. This is because I wanted as much interaction as possible. I want like instead of it gaining the attack during damage calculation, I wanted it to be able to be something that you can respond to with a card effect. Um, and its second effect, or third effect rather, if it's targeted or destroyed by a card effect, you inflict 2,800. Boom. It just like it explodes on you. And unfortunately, I'm between taking 3,000 here and the Big Saturn going through and me adding cards, or I'm just gonna activate Late Hero here. Late Hero is going to let me, because there is a level 5 or lower hero, or 5 or higher hero monster in my graveyard, I get to Sakuretsu Armor that monster and draw one card. But because I destroyed the Big Saturn, I take 2,800 damage. Um, because I destroyed it by card effect. So yeah, Cyber Assault is not going to attack here because Lone was telling me, because it was a casual match, we were divulging information. He said like, I I felt comfortable pushing into two monsters here, but if I can only out one monster, I don't want you to get advantage. And I was like, yeah, that's very fair. You don't want to give the hero card attack advantage in that kind of way because I can find polys and stuff out of nowhere. I decided to switch my two guys into defense position and my very expendable Voltec. This is probably a card that I'm going to probably cut in future builds. He's very efficient for me. Um, but yeah, he is going to draw for turn. And I'm in a scary position here because he's going to normal summon the Griffin, get that draw, and if I had any traps that could affect them, now they cannot affect the monster. For this, yeah, the Assault Dragon's going to attack the face down, and I can use this opportunity to summon out my Stratos here. Stratos is going to get me the draw, or the search for an elemental hero monster. It also has the manga effect where it can attack directly, as if Stratos needed any buffs to be other than that. Yeah, uh, very, very fortunate here. I draw Monster Reborn for turn, but what's important here is I have Burstinatrix, which can add me either Polymerization or Winged Karibo because Avion's already in my graveyard. Heat in this format, um, it can mill a monster, Elemental Hero monster during my standby phase, and Monster Reborn. It has been altered in this format so that you can only activate it when you control no monsters, and the monster that you revive has to be equal to or less than the attack of the monster in your opponent's field with the highest attack. Um, so it's a lot more fair. It's a comeback card. You're supposed to use it as like when you're controlling no monsters and kind of use it to build up a board, but you can't really use it in an advantage. But I accidentally do so here. I'm going to take it back. You'll see in a little bit. But I'm going to find polymerization, activate polymerization. I have two fire monsters on my field. So the only card I can summon is Elemental Hero Inferno. I don't have any other legal fusion targets for this. Um, and I attempt to activate Monster Reborn here, and like Lone's like, whoa, 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 come on, dude. I'm like, oh yeah, you're so right. You're so right. So yeah, good thing though. I'm very glad because like this duel would have ended right now if Monster Reborn worked the way it usually does. But one of the big format things that I want to do is I want back and forth Yu-Gi-Oh. I want things to feel as back and forth as possible. I hate it when you have advantage and you kind of double down on that advantage. Um, and you know, you kind of steamroll the opponent. This Monster Reborn's change lets it so that like, you know, if your board gets outed, you can use it afterwards. So it's a very healthy change in my opinion. But I have Inferno. TCG players are probably looking at this. What the heck? Like, Inferno, isn't it supposed to be Nova Master? Well, Inferno is the Fire Omni hero in the manga, and it has both of its manga effects. So it's one of the few monsters in the format where its damage calculation effect is a continuous effect. And also, if it's destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can add one spell from your graveyard to your hand, which is huge because I can add Fusion Recovery back to my hand. This is the strongest card in my graveyard right now. Fortunately, Monster Reborn was never activated. But yeah, I can push on a lot of advantage because I still have Dustcrow, I still have Woodsman, and I still have Ocean to be able to add back. So I have a lot of options. None of these, well, I guess Friend Dog and Woodsman can make me Gaia if I wanted to. So yeah, my Inferno does not have enough attack to be able to out this monster, but I'm playing the long con here. This gives me a little bit of pressure because I don't want him to keep drawing every turn, and it lets me add back my fusion recovery for turns. So yeah, I end my turn, and he normal summons Proto Cyber Dragon. Proto Cyber Dragon is always treated as Cyber Dragon. It is also treated as a dragon monster, and because it's for Cyber Darks and stuff. And if it's normal summon, you can add a level 5 plus light machine monster from your deck to your hand. So he is going to add Cyber Dragon Processor here. Huge combo processor. If you control a machine monster, it can special summon itself. And if you do, uh, uh, during your main phase, you can make this card become Cyber Dragon and special summon one Cyber Dragon from your graveyard. He just got so much advantage out of nowhere. I'm in it for the long haul right now. He decides, screw it, I'm just going to try to out as much of your board as possible. So my Inferno is going to go to the graveyard. I activate its effect and add back Fusion Recovery. Processor attacks into Rottweiler. Rottweiler I activate the effect because Lone attacked while I was still activating it. Again, we're in voice calls, so it didn't really matter. I add back Ocean and Polymerization, and then Stratos gets destroyed, and then Shadow Mist is going to be destroyed too. Shadow Mist adds one hero from the deck to the hand. Um, I added Fountain here, but honestly, I had to loan this afterwards. I kind of want to change Shadow Mist so that it only adds Elemental heroes, so I put it back and I add Sparkman instead. So um, I'm in a pretty good position here because I just got, three, 4 cards out of nowhere. I replenished my hand, and I drop for turn, and I'm in a very peculiar situation. I draw Damage Mask for turn. Damage Mask is Call of the Haunted, basically, for masked monsters. I'm going to activate Monster Board. Now, I can't summon Terra Firma or Scaradao here because he does not have a monster with 25 or more attack. So I'm in a weird position. The best choice for me to grab here is Stratos. Stratos lets me search a monster on the summon. So Stratos is going to let me find any card that I want to use to kind of make this polymerization in my hand live. Uh, and I'm going to normal summon Fountain. Fountain, again, the Mask Hero monsters all have a trigger effect. Fountain's trigger effect is when it's normal summoned, uh, it can either excavate the top two to set mask change from the graveyard, or its unique effect, revive the Mask Hero monster from the graveyard in defense position. I'm going to put Crow back here. Dusk Crow, if he starts attacking my monsters, I can be able to start milling stuff. I can be able to excavate stuff. So this is a very good, powerful play that I'm kind of build a defensive board with. And I'm going to activate Polymerization. I have 2 water monsters at my disposal. So I'm going to bring out Absolute Zero. Absolute Zero in this format, it's a kind of mix between what it's supposed to represent in the manga, where Judai used an attribute changing effect to be able to kind of benefit from Manjome's monsters, where it gains 500 attack for every other monster on the field that shares an attribute with a monster on the field. For those that saw Palette Saga, that's basically Palette Hero Crystal, um, and it has a comeback effect. So cards in this format, if they have too powerful of an effect, or if they're too powerful of a monster to be summoned, they are comeback locked. So Absolute Zero, if your life points are 4,000 or less, has gains the effect that it can destroy all the monsters your opponent controls if it leaves the field. You can activate if your life points are 4,000 or higher than 4,000. Fortunately, though, I am at 4,000, so this effect is live. Other examples of comeback monsters, like anything that's like a evolution of a card, like let's say like Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, you can only summon that monster if your life points are 4,000 or less. It makes the game a little bit more of back and forth, I feel, or at least in theory. But however, speaking of back of like a comeback though, Lone has 4 monsters that share the same attributes, so I am going to boost my absolute zero to 4,500 here, and I have lethal on board. The Proto Cyber Dragon, if I attack both of these monsters with both of these monsters, it's exact lethal. It's 3,700 damage. So Lone is is kind of in a very, very out of nowhere. I was able to find lethal here. I attack into Stratos with Proto Cyber Dragon, but he activates Cyber Generator unit. It contribute a Cyber Dragon and either special summon Barrier or Laser from the hand or deck. Um, so he is going to bring out Cyber Barrier Dragon here. Cyber Barrier Dragon lets you negate an attack once per turn and also halves any damage you take. Um, I don't think he applies this effect though. I think he forgets about it. Um, so yeah, I have Redeclare here. He can't negate the attack. You wouldn't want to do so otherwise because you're saving it for absolute zero. But even if you wanted to, he can't because this is a Redeclare. If you wanted to sequence it that way, he could have just summoned Barrier before the attack declaration. But yeah, I punch into Processor. Does he take half damage? No, he does not take half damage. He was supposed to take half damage there. That's okay. This is literally the first game of a format. It's hard to kind of pinpoint new effects that cards have. But as you can see, the cards are buffed so that they're very strong, very playable, and things can be back and forth. Because there's one less light monster, Absolute Zero loses some attack, but he's still at a very threatening obelisk attack stat. Uh, so Assault Dragon activates here. Um, you would think that this is a bad situation for Lone because by destroying Absolute Zero, his entire board is going to die here. But Assault Dragon is going to add back Processor, and then Cyber Barrier Dragon. When it is destroyed, it special summons Cyber Dragon back onto the board. The Cyber Dragon, uh, I don't know why he targets my thing there. Uh, yeah, so Cyber Dragon is summoned, and he's going to special summon Processor here. He could make a rank 5 here, but when he made this deck, I was still making the generic toolbox, and so he doesn't have the rank 5 option, which is a custom card, Red Eyes Exciton Dragon, which is basically a vanilla Xyz monster with 2400 attack and 2000 defense. There's no reason to summon it here. You'd kind of want to prefer to have this board presence anyways. So yeah, he's going to summon Cyber Dark Horn, or sorry, Cyber Dragon Horn. It is a Cyber Dragon monster in this format, and it's going to equip the Proto Cyber Dragon, which is treated as a dragon monster in the graveyard. So he's going to get the boost there. He's going to go to 1900 attack, and he's going to get piercing. So because he attacks my Dust Crow's trigger effect here, I can activate one of the following effects, and I decide to send a masked hero from my deck to the graveyard. This is because I have Damage Mask in my graveyard and Fusion Recovery, so I'm setting up for a elemental hero, the Shining play next turn. My Dust Crow dies here, and Cyber Dragon is going to attack my Stratos. My Stratos is going to take some damage, and on his end phase, I'm going to Damage Mask, special summon the Mask Hero Ray. Maybe, actually, no, wait, no, I couldn't have. I was thinking maybe I should have summoned Stratos and kept Ray in the deck and searched that way, but I can't. Damage Mask only lets me summon Mask Monsters, so that was the correct play. So, Ray's special effect, or his trigger, is if a monster is special summoned to the opponent's field. It gets the trigger, and his unique trigger, or one of his unique effects is it special summons a masked hero monster from among the banished cards or my hand. So I draw Mass Change 2 here for a turn, and this changes my play completely. I'm very, very okay with that. So I'm going to add Polymerization to my hand and Mask Hero Fountain. Before I do anything, I summon Fountain. Fountain lets me bring back uh, Dust Crow. Dust Crow is going to be able to provide a little bit of a wall and some more recursive ability with his trigger effect. And I am going to proceed to the battle phase, punch into this processor, and I'm going to activate Mass Change 2 by discarding Sparkman and special summon. Accidentally banished the element to center the graveyard, and special summon Masked Hero Koga. Koga has nerfed stats in this and has a nerfed effect. It still gains 500 for each monster the opponent controls, but it doesn't have the banish effect to reduce things. However, as you can see, each of the masked hero monsters, the fusion ones, when they're special summoned and their counterpart, their main deck counterpart is in the graveyard, you draw one card on summon. So I'm going to gain my 3,000 here and draw a card. I draw the spell card Necrofusion. Necrofusion is Miracle Fusion for every deck, but you have to control no monsters to activate it. And if it resolves, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn. So it's kind of like a comeback, like, I'm gonna bring out a strong monster. This is my one and done kind of deal. So I bring out Koga. I should attack into the Cyber Dragon here, but I'm thinking to myself, I really need to start punching in damage. I can probably find Beetle and just by battle damage, not like attacking directly at some point in the duel. And I kind of want to give out Horn here because uh I'd rather him have less monsters on the field than more if possible, in case he has a scary tribute monster that comes out of nowhere. If he tributes a monster here, Koga's only going to be at 2,500, and a lot of double tribute monsters can out me in this situation. So he's going to draw for turn, and he's just going to set a card. It's going to boost my Koga, but that's okay. It doesn't really matter in this situation. I'm going to take a ton of damage from Master Fountain. Fountain being the revival card, despite having a less attack, is very, very relevant because you're going to, as you see, I put myself in situations here where I take a lot of damage because I just leave it on the board. He's going to set a card and pass. I find Mask Hero Gust off the top. Gust's special effect is if the opponent targets it with a card effect, or if a monster on the field is targeted by an opponent's card effect, then he gets the trigger. And his unique effect is you can add a mass hero from the graveyard to your hand. Uh, so I decide to just hold Gust to my chest here. I'm going to attack it to the Cyber Dragon. No need to commit Gust to the board. Um, and he's going to take damage here. Lone draws, sets one more monster off the top. I boost because he set another card. And I draw Matching. This is exactly what I need. All these master hero cards are no match change, but finally I find match change. I'm gonna. I attempt to activate Gust here, but Lone's like, dude, read your own cards. You're the one that created them. And I'm like, okay, that's so real. Uh, so I either way, this is the card that I want to bring out. I want to bring out Goka here or Blast here. So Blast on summon because Gust is in my graveyard lets me draw a card, but also it has a changed effect. It has an ignition effect, not a quick effect, to target a spell trap the opponent controls and returns it to the hand. So Blast is going to activate here, returning this card to the hand, and I have Lethal set up for myself here. Good thing that I went for the Cyber Dark Dragon attack play, because now these two can kind of punch into the two monsters and win me the duel. But I forget that Cyber Larva is still waiting in the wings here, unfortunately. So I'm going to punch into this monster. This is a misplay. I should have attacked with Koga first before anything. But it doesn't really matter. It's a Vehicroid. When it's destroyed by battle, it can mill two Vehicroids, but he doesn't have any targets left. Koga loses some attack here, but there's nothing that's going to have enough defense to block the Koga. It's just Cyber Larva, and I punch into the Cyber Larva for the second time because it special summons itself after it's destroyed. I set alternate fusion. It's basically polymerization as a trap card, but if it's activated in the opponent's turn, the opponent must attack it if able, just like in the manga. It doesn't really work like this way in the manga, but it behaves this way. It's kind of weird. The person that Judai was going against could have redeclared, but he decided that it's going to go through anyways. I removed the effect where it destroys the monster in the end phase. There's no reason for that, for it to do that anyways. So now, uh, alternate fusion is not very good. Neither is this polymerization. Because I don't, I don't have matching attributes. The elemental heroes need matching attributes to be able to function, and none of these are elemental heroes. But I'm chilling, dude. I can't complain. I'm in the lead. I have two very strong monsters at my disposal. A lot of the cards in this format are back row a lot of like the chainable back row in this format aren't things that like out monsters. They're things that like put things on the board like cyber generator unit, right? Or like my if we look at my board, right? As you can see, these are like battle cards. So a card like Blast that can, on an ignition effect, either force you to special summon that card early, or out a card that would out you by battle, like let's say like the Sakuretsu armor on Hero Responsibility, is such a strong card to have. So I'm in a very good position here. However, Lone is going to my monster's at 2,000 here. Lone looks over and he's like, I think I have Leaf Leader. I'm like, oh no, really? He's like, yeah. So he normal summons Dre Vehicroid. If it's normal summoned, you can either send the banished level 4 Vehicroid or monster to the graveyard or add it to the hand. But he doesn't really need it for that. He does it because he. Remember when I was talking about Parasite Discharge? Well, this card, you're going to see why this card is so powerful. So he's going to bring out the Parasite Fusioner here. The Parasite Fusioner in anime fashion on special summon is going to bring out Lone's boss monster. And he's going to win the duel right here because I do not have anything to be able to out a monster. My Dust Crow is very vulnerable in this position, and I have 1,700 life points right now. You're thinking to yourself, what kind of monster could he possibly summon with this card? He's gonna bring out Banditech Metal Fit Zoa, which is requires a Banditech Misfit Zoa and a Machine Monster as fusion material. For this fusion summon, one of the materials must be from the field or the graveyard. You can also special summon it by tributing Zoa and banishing Banditech Metal Morph from your field or graveyard. It's treated as a fiend monster on the field. It's unaffected by the opponent's spells because of Metal Morph, just like in the anime, where machine monsters are unaffected by spells. And if it destroys a monster by battle, you can special summon a level 5 or lower monster from either graveyard to your side of the field, and it becomes a fiend or a machine monster. But none of that matters right now because the only thing that matters is that he has 3,000 against 1,200, and he is going to attack me, my Dust Crow, for a game, and I am going to lose the duel. So yeah, that was my Duelsync game against Lone Cyber Dragons versus my heroes. We decided for this duel to just pick like a random card in the format. Like we pulled out a random number generator, we pulled up all the pages of cards, and we just said, okay, whatever page this lands on, you have to build a deck around one of the monsters on the page. So yeah, that's what we did. and he landed on Cyber Dragons, I landed on Heroes, and yeah, so that was the Dual Sync game. If you guys kind of like this content, let me know. I could probably make more Dual Sync content in the format in later on. I can if you guys want, I can make a introduction to the format if you want. This is the deck that I used. I will hover over each card so you can kind of read what they all do if you pause, if you want to do that. Um, but yeah, I can make an introductory format video if you guys are interested in this kind of stuff. Maybe make a Discord channel or something where people can play and get games. I can write a tutorial and a guide on like how to get started on this. Um, but yeah, this is the deck list. I'll go a little faster here. You guys have the ability to pause if you wanted to. There's no side deck in this format. I don't think it's maybe we could add a side deck later. Um, but I guess these cards have uh extra effects to them. So I'll scroll it. But yeah, these are the cards that are in the deck. And this format has a ton of cards in the format if you guys want to play and stuff. But yeah, so I'll see you guys next time and take care.